Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our last coffee chat of the year. We have been together the entire year, and this is our final session. Really excited to have you all here. Um, and yeah, to get started, I see some familiar faces, but also some new people joining. So, yeah, just to give a little bit of context, if you are new here, we hold these sessions once a month. And our ultimate goal with this is to create a space where people from the industry can exchange some ideas or mutual learnings or discussions. And for that, well, I'm the host of the sessions, but together with me, we have also Lautaro, which helps me with all this admin task to put all these sessions together. We have Lindsay Lear, our managing director, and
Hi, everyone.
today also we have Valentina Meneses, which is our Colombian analyst and project manager here. So she will also be joining us for our session today. And before we get started, just a few guidelines. Um, we typically have one guest speaker, but we truly encourage participation. The guest speaker is here to lead the conversation and bring the theme, but we really would like you all to participate. Open your camera, open your mic, make some questions, comments. The more you put into the sessions, the more you take out of this. But also remember that we do publish these materials on our YouTube channel. Okay? So for today's session, we have a very special guest. We have Sergio Zapata. Sergio is the Senior Product Manager at EBANX. He leads the product strategy for payment solutions in many regions, including Latin America. And today, he's here to talk about Bre-B. So, Sergio, thank you so much for accepting our invite and for being here with us today. And let's get started.
Hey, Fernanda, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you all also for joining us. I'm happy to share some experiences regarding what is happening on Colombian's landscape. First of all, nice to meet you all. My name is Sergio Duran Zapata. I'm a senior product manager at EBANX with over 13 years of experience in the payment industry. I have been a key contributor to the evolution of instant payments in Colombia. I had accomplished the Bre-B initiative since the inception when we were building the SPI-BR or Sistema de Pagos Inmediatos with the central bank. Representing EBANX, I participated the open forum for creation the SPI, and then I joined the Comité de Interoperabilidad de Pagos Inmediatos, especially with the Operational Standards Committee, providing strategic recommendations and global best practices for the scheme's operation. Okay, please let's do as a chat. So we following basically what we want is to share the opportunities that we have with Bre-B and how the system was built. So please interact as much as you can using the Q&A box. So uh, Bre-B. Bre-B is the new ecosystem. Isn't just a full isn't just a new rail. It's an interoperable ecosystem. It was inspired by Brazil's PIX system, had technical support from EBANX among these main contributors. So basically, what we have is a system that is with a main mantra that is built upon another solutions. So it's important to state that these Colombians live into instant payments and how EBANX give some support regarding the discussions and the use cases. Okay, next slide, please. So let's start from the opportunity. Basically, what we are seeing is that Colombian e-commerce will keep growing in double-digit rates. And when it comes to account payments, it's even better the behavior. Basically, what we have seen is that the country itself is growing, but the account to account is growing even faster. Uh, some examples: PSC, that is a bank transfer solution, is growing in a good pace, but also some solutions like wallets are growing even faster, like Neki, like DaviPlata, and all this using account-to-account payments. So uh, Colombian context is a great landscape for e-commerce and thinking in alternative payment methods like account-to-account as a tool to achieve this growing. Okay, next slide, please. If we use also some numbers from the Colombian Chambers of Electronic Commerce, we can see how account-to-account payments are moving on top of the main payment methods. So if we see debit and credit cards used to be the main one at the beginning of the 2023, and now, quarter by quarter, this is showing some evolution and seeing, accordingly to the last numbers of 2025, how now direct debit from bank account are the main payment methods regarding commerce. And this is the opportunity because Bre-B starts to give this solution in a standard way to the account-to-account payments. And in that way, we identify that this as an opportunity. Basically, what we are seeing is that in the second quarter of 2024, the direct debit from bank accounts overtook cards in the first e-commerce payment method. So this is a signal of the rapid account-to-account digitalization and adoption, and this reveals an even faster digitalization. Next slide, please. Um, and as we
Sergio, sorry,
see,
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
yes,
Can we go back one slide? I have a question for you. So
for
what's
sure.
interesting about Colombia is that we see direct debit from bank account overtaking cards even before Bre-B comes into existence, right?
Amazing.
So can you, and this is quite different, we at PCMI, we've studied e-commerce payment methods for probably 10 years now in their evolution, and Colombia has always stood out as being really strong in bank transfer. Can you
Mhm.
tell us about why that is? What's the underlying infrastructure? Is there a cultural aspect to it? What's special about Colombia in how important bank transfers are?
Amazing question. I will say that there are two main factors. The first one is because credit cards are not mm, the product that all people will have. Saying this is normal to have an app bank account, but is not possible or is not the standard. So end users will be having a credit card. So there's a gap regarding the credit products in the Colombian market. And this with via bank transfers give us a possibility to join new end users to the e-commerce. So these new end users that are now purchasing at e-commerce are using the most their bank accounts via PSC, for instance. And this is the one of the main. The second one will be the mindset. Um, People used to have bank transfer as a well-known payment method, and this is increasing. in the sense of how the people purchase and do their all the consumption regarding e-commerce via bank transfer. And it's even growing as much as we are seeing, faster than the debit, the credit cards, and also the cash that for the on-presence commerce is well known. Cash is on top of the payment methods, but what we are seeing in e-commerce is how important it is, the bank transfer.
And Daniel has a great question in the chat here. Can you clarify what rails are these direct debits going over? You mentioned PSE, right? Is it
Yeah,
Transvilla? Does this also include wallet transfers?
yeah, amazing. It's mainly PSE, for sure. Transfilla is like a solution, a sister solution from PSE. It's from the same ACH, but mainly is PSE. The other numbers that we are seeing here is from the wallets, wallets that have evolved to direct debit solutions in a closed loop solution. And this is well represented also with PSE. Even though there's closed loop solutions, the main traffic or the main incumbents for PSE are the main wallets like Neki, like DaviPlata.
Got it. Okay, thank you. This is very interesting because when you compare Colombia with Mexico, for example, uh, according to the analysis that we've done, of course, Mexico is a larger market, but when you look at the penetration of e-commerce over GDP and in per capita expenditure, it's actually higher in Colombia, which is, I think, directly correlated to the importance of bank account transfers in e-commerce, right? Not everyone has access to a credit card.
Mhm.
And there's been this history and culture and infrastructure that's enabled bank account as a payment method, right? So that sets it apart from Mexico, for example, and I think is probably a very strong foundation for something like Bre-B. So this is a great context.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the why this is important, Bre-B, in the sense of the standardization, to bring even use case, I will say, thinking in the user experience and evolving the behavior of the end user. And answering to Daniel, yes, exactly. We are seeing mobile payment systems with these wallets like Neki, like DaviPlata, that now are supporting direct debits in a specialized APIs. So you can join payment with Neki with the direct button from Neki paying in the store, but also with PSE as a ACH hub. Amazing. Maybe we can follow the next slide, please. So as you mentioned it, Lindsay, this is a great momentum in terms of account to account and how we are adapting this opportunity with a new payment system that is Bre-B. It was launched on July, and this is an interoperable system developed by Banco de la República, with the initial rollout of keys, alias, that is the name of these strings that represent the bank accounts. These keys, which can be.
Sorry, we've got some unmuted mics. There we go. Please, please continue. Oh, now you're
Now,
muted,
yeah,
Sergio.
yes.
Sorry, is now okay? It's
Yes.
better? Okay. So these keys, which can be the tax ID, the email, the phone number, or an alphanumeric hash, uh, acts as an account identifiers to streamline the ecosystem interactions. So this gives a standard solution And for P2M, person to merchant transactions, the system utilize also an EMB QR code, ensuring the seamless, the interoperability across all the banking applications. So also thinking in interoperability, in uh, always available 24-hour a day, 365 days a year, um, and in a simple way, right? Great. Let me see here. I have using the tax ID was a mistake they made in Brazil. Good point. The tax ID it's a possibility. What I have had seen as a Colombian is that first, people is not talking about Bre-B itself. They are talking about keys. So everyone is saying like, "Can you share your key with me? Which is your key?" And secondly, as you mentioned it, people are not familiar with the PIX case here in Colombia. Nevertheless, people are using more the other keys rather than the ID. They are using more the hash. For instance, at Sergio 123, it's better, doesn't have any sensitive data. So it's a good way also that people are using the keys. So in the particular case of Colombia, they're trying to use even more the other ones.
So we've got an interesting debate now going on in the chat. Feel free, guys, to hop on and open your mics and comment. Blake, I'm assuming you're saying the tax ID was a mistake, maybe because of privacy issues, but Pablo disagrees, thinks that it was a great, way to, I guess, scale picks. So yeah, feel free, guys, to hop on and we can engage in the conversation. But yeah, go ahead and continue, Sergio.
So what I was
No,
going to say in
It was
responding
Daniel.
to you, Lindsay, was that it's really interesting to hear from Sergio that the aliasing system, the sort of handle system, is such a big driver of take up. This is something that we're seeing all over the world. So it's really really very interesting data point indeed. Thank you.
Excellent.
amazing. And at the end, it's up to the end user, right? We are creating a landscape that end users can identify the possibilities and they can use what they prefer. Oh, great. Amazing. Yeah, in the same way as Pablo mentioned it, there are some other options like the phone number or the email, and those are available on Bre-B as well. So yeah, it's up to them to the end user as much as comfortable they feel. Okay, we can continue, please.
I have a question, if that's all right.
Yes.
I've never actually used Pix, so I've never been down to Brazil, so I don't know the timing. But on the last slide, it was saying that they're targeting processing time of 20 seconds. Is that the time frame that Pix uses as well? It just seems a long time to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a benchmark in terms. Pixie, if I'm not mistaken, it's 10 seconds. Nevertheless, this was an important part of the discussion when we were in the inception of Bre-B. Basically, what we are giving is an SLA. Um, we are going to deep dive regarding the architecture, but what we are seeing is that the processing time nowadays is in 3 seconds, almost the major part of the transactions. Basically, this is a starting point. The central bank identifies this as just a number to track what is happening with the system. But yeah, for sure, 20 seconds is too much per se, but it's a good point to start.
Well, I mean, I see the word targeted. It's like that's your end target, is what it implies as 20 seconds.
Mhm.
In the card systems, 7 seconds is the absolute limit. All kinds of stand-ins happen generally around the 2-second point. Different banks, different payment switches start standing in, and either they go through the stand-in process. It never goes longer than 7 seconds, because there was, I think in the 70s or 80s, they realized, they did a study, and at 7 seconds, people start pushing buttons randomly because it's not working, it's not responding. And that's not a good thing. So I just see that you mentioned the target was 3 seconds. I think that's great. So the timeline really matters.
Yeah, for sure. And also for the user, as you mentioned, it as a user experience. If we want to increase the user experience, it's important to keep the SLAs as most established if possible. Basically, what we saw on the discussions was which was this number for to start the conversation regarding the different incumbents, the other networks, the other directories. We are going to see a little bit regarding the architecture. I can explain even more. But yeah, what we are seeing as I mentioned it before, is the main transactions are around 2 to 3 seconds in total time, end to end. Great. According to the latest Bre-B data from the Banco de la República, the system has been massive adoption with over 31.6 million registered users, representing over the 92% of the adult population. And looking the market account to account, and as we were discussing, payments already hold 34% of the market share in Colombia in e-commerce. It's a sector valued on $70 billion, with a projected CAGR of 16% to 2028. So we see a significant strategic fit for our solutions with the online retail, with mobility, gaming, and social media verticals. And we saw also this behavior with Pix, and we are seeing also with another systems around the globe how important it is for these verticals, this account-to-account payments in a standard way.
So Sergio,
Okay.
is this that 37% market share is calling my attention? Is that already achieved, or is that a projection?
Is what we are seeing nowadays with account-to-account transactions, but for sure, this is what we are seeing is that this is growing, and this market
But
share
sorry,
could
this
be
is
even
existing. This is existing
this
account to
yes,
account. Okay, and
yes.
all of that is now operating under the umbrella Bre-B?
No, it's the opportunity that Bre-B can also push even more. This is
Got
the
it.
account-to-account market that we are
Oh,
seeing,
okay.
the market share,
That makes
and
sense.
how Bre-B can also support and increase even more this market share.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Amazing. And thank you for the question. So great. And here what we have is, okay, how Bre-B behaves in comparison to another solutions that we already see in production, like Pix. Pix and Bre-B and FedNow are quite different proposals. Bre-B is focused on the person, the end user itself, and herself, in the sense of how to increase the opportunity of account-to-account payments. In the same way, Pix is an instant system ruled by the central bank. This is maybe the most important difference. That is, Bre-B is an ecosystem, is a system built with private players also, or call it like directories. And FedNow is a solution that is an instant
Sorry,
bucket.
sorry.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you a little bit. I'm sorry for the interruption, bro. You can compare payment versus a wholesale payment. It's two different animals. You can compare bread, pigs versus sale. That's going to be a valid comparison. Bro, effect now is a wholesale payment for B2B. I think it's two different uh, uh,
Correct.
payment environment. Paul is going to be retail payments. You can install bread, Pix, Cells, or PayPal. That's going to be retail payment and credit card. Perfect now is a wholesale payment for another environment, B2B. Just to make the correction, please.
Thank you for the comment. Basically, what we are seeing here is how the central banks solutions um, are aiming to different proposals. So thank you. As you mentioned it, FedNow is not aiming for uh, an online basic transaction. It's more thinking on B2B or high value payments instead of Bre-B or Pix, right? But that, yeah, totally correct as you mentioned it. Is not comparable. Maybe what the main message here is also that if we compare to Zelle or to PayPal, there are not public solutions. There are not a market or a solution by the central bank. There are private solutions, right?
Yeah, I want to add in the process just to be the process because I think it's a very good detail to include it because in the different payment environment, Colombia and Brazil is an open system validated by the central bank as a support. And North America, in my opinion, is a closed loop system and only for Zelle or big banks to handle the instant payments ecosystem. That's very complicated to enable fintech and other providers to be part of the ecosystem. It does as a valid statement to put in this topic because that is something because the adoption is so slow in America versus in other countries. That's important.
Yeah,
Highlight.
good call. Thank you, Gary. Yes, Daniel?
Oh, I was just going to say, for the thing for me for Fed now is really about it being a way to sort of scoop up anything that isn't being delivered by the market, which is being
Mhm.
delivered via sort of RTP and TCH. The thing that Bre-B seems more similar when I sort of look at it is a bit more like one of the European systems, the European national systems, say something like Bithum, or there's a bunch of these that are in the European Payments Alliance that they're all operating at national level. So in Greece you have yes, but these also go on SCT Inst, but that has its own front end Iris P2P thing, and it's like whether it goes through the bank app or if it's a um, standalone app. Like some of them are like Swish, for example, works more like that. But that's a bank based on it. A lot of it is about who owns what really and what problem they're trying to fix.
Yeah.
Great. Yes. Sorry, I interrupted. You, Lindsay?
Oh, I was going to say, Sergio, I do believe it's a very fair comparison because to your point, this is infrastructure created by central bodies, centralized regulated bodies. Of course, the US looks very different. The infrastructure is different, the whole federal system is different, the intention is different, but it is infrastructure being built and brought to market by public sector entities. So in that way, I believe they're very comparable. And what validates that is that there's a lot of industry chatter, at least at PCMI, we have heard a lot of industry chatter about interlinking between Pix, Bre-B, and FedNow specifically. So, that signals to us that, these are comparable and similar in the sense that they're government sponsored. And at the end of the day, they will have a certain legitimacy because of that. So I like this comparison. We do have to keep in mind, the US operates quite differently, but putting them on the same plane makes a lot of sense.
Amazing. Just to give even more context regarding how Bre-B was built, we can continue with the next slide and detail how was this architecture done. So basically, the central bank is the main one, the centralized directory, who handles and who governs not only the keys, but also the transactions, giving the interoperability. So basically, what we have is different directories that used to operate like ACH with Transfilla, like Entre Cuentas by redefine. And now the central bank is connecting those solutions, standardizing the use case, the user experience, these operational details that we were discussing, like the processing time, how the timeouts go, how the QR code operates, giving the interoperability and pushing the system or the market to achieve to the end user the same user experience. So basically, what is happening is that every bank app, the mobile app, the home banking also website will having a Bre-B zone. And with this Bre-B zone, the end user can send money, but also can open the camera to scan a QR code in this standard, sorry, and bringing the end users the same experience in the end-to-end. And the e-commerce has experienced this double-digit growth. So it's important how this new experience regarding PSE Transfilla now will be supporting a new use case using the QR code, so we can use this infrastructure. So was especially designed to meet the unique needs for Colombian end users. And rather than starting from scratch, it leverage existing solutions. So this is the main point and the main idea to share here. Okay. I see some discussions regarding the timing and how is the all the use flows.
Feel free to
Okay,
continue, Sergio, unless you want to, I think
great.
there's a side
Yes.
conversation going, but I don't want it to derail you too much.
Yeah, and explaining the use case and the user experience, we can follow with the next slide, please. So I would like to recap the Bre-B payment flow. It begins with the checkout when the user selects Bre-B as their payment method, generating the QR code. So the customer opens the banking app with the Bre-B zone and use the integrate mobile camera to scan the code. This experience, already familiar to the Colombian market, has now been formalized with the Bre-B standard to ensure the ecosystem-wide consistency. So basically, it's as I mentioned it, 2 to 3 seconds transaction. And people is pretty familiar with this. Is asking about, do you have the QR code, please? Can I pay with the QR code? And so on. So pretty important to see the behavior and pretty straightforward how it goes. Right. Yes, Daniel.
We make sure to mute mics, guys. Thank you.
I was going to say, if Bre-B is in all, did I understand it correctly that if it's in all the bank apps, does it have the same same flow across multiple apps, or have I misunderstood and it's its own
No, you are correct. It's in the same structure. That's why it's standardized. The central bank calls this
Para cada
particular.
uno de los mercados donde vamos. Sorry, I'm muting. There we go.
Okay, the central bank standardized calling the Bre-B zone. So all the banks develop this Bre-B zone that behaves in the same way with the same options.
Do we know how that came about? Did the central bank make everyone go in the same room with a big stick, or is it a more naturally collaborative industry?
Was collaborative in the sense of the inception, how it goes, but at the end was ruled. So this Bre-B zone is ruled, is um,
Mandated.
a mandate created and launched at the beginning of the year. So yeah, all these UX, also you can identify some emulators in in the main central bank that shows exactly the user experience that they are improving.
I like the visual of the big stick.
Yes.
It's a story that I keep hearing all over the world.
Yeah.
Where this happens, that's where you get a common user experience, and when you don't, you get fragmentation, because otherwise it's not
Exactly.
in anyone's interest.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, all the established banks are resistant to change for good reason. So it's not a criticism of them, it's a good reason. If they're forced to do it, then the consequences are out of their hands and they can now proceed with implementing new ideas. But yeah, there's a reason why banks are reluctant to change.
Yeah, exactly. But also it's nice to see how when the first part of this mandate appeared, they were involved also in the construction of this user experience. So in these interoperable committees that I shared at the beginning, they create also and participate in this creation of this user experience.
I have a question, Sarah,
Sergio, oh, sorry.
real quick. I'm curious, I see, enviar plata Bre-B. Is the branding of Bre-B widespread? Do consumers know what Bre-B is? Are people making verbs, brevear, te voy a brevear? Is it out there as a brand, as in the way Pix is?
I need to confess that there's two kind of brands for say on the market. Bre-B, for sure, on this financial system is pretty deep. Nevertheless, for the end users, Bre-B, yeah, it's like okay, but keys, llaves, is the main mm, trademark that they have.
Okay,
Share
the main
me, can you share your keys? Can you share your llaves? Which is your llave? The llave is the main one, the people's mind.
Okay, got it.
And Sergio, I also have a question, and maybe or you and Vale too, if you can speak to that. It's just what is the market expectations with Bre-B? I mean, because when Pix was launched in Brazil, there was like a lot of like how it's gonna be, it's gonna kill boleto, it's gonna kill debit. How is that with Bre-B in Colombia with
It's
different players?
Uh, well, we have the next slide to share some of the banks, the incumbents positions, but in a nutshell, it's a bet in the sense of how the system is improving the user experience and bringing a new option with a standardized behavior. Basically, the opportunities that we are seeing is okay, how can we fight with the cash? How can we increase the solutions in a digital basis? How can we give to the end users more options? And Bre-B also is connecting to solutions that were not as much as attended before. Some people that just have one financial product and it's not a credit card, it's a bank account. So how they can be a part of the financial system, creating inclusion. These solutions as Neki, being a digital bank, uh, are in some cases the accounts of the first experience of these end users, the new end users, young people with the financial system. So it's the vehicle to reach and to give information about this new end user and also to bring these new experiences to these end users to increase the market, the population with financial products, with banking products. So yeah, this is the bet. But yeah, we are passing these very first steps in the foundation, in the standardization, to see how the people is adopting even more and more the solution. And we are having good numbers. If you can see also on the Banco de la República's main page, nowadays we have over 217 million transactions with Bre-B that shows how people is interacting with the payment method, with the solution, right?
In fact, besides of what Sergio was saying, also Bre-B is like the first step of the open finance and open data market that the Banco de la República has in mind. I mean, the first step of the journey. So they like to emulate the same journey that Brazil are doing. So like open the market, give the population options to have different bank accounts, and also be part of bank, be part of fintech, be part of credit union. Credit unions are really key, for example, in PIX market, and then we want, and like it's accelerate the financial inclusion. We have a really good numbers, a really good things with Neki, Davi Plata. So we as a Colombia, we are used to use those kind of solutions, but this changed a little bit because you can have any bank account, not only Bank Colombia, not only Neki. You can use any bank, you can use any fintech, you can use also any credit union, and also have access to all the digitalization like benefits. So I think that could be one of the implication and one of the expectation for this government. I mean, more than this government, this national policy.
Yeah, thank you, Valentina. As you mentioned, it is a vehicle for new use cases, for new uh, solutions that also the regulation is aiming for, like open finance or open data. So yeah, we are having um, good opportunities in the future. Amazing. We can continue with the next slide, please. And just to wrap up, I think this slide can help us in the sense of uh, what is the system doing, what are the main things to achieve. As we saw on the architecture, this is a system that building upon established foundations has been the core mantra for Bre-B. However, this approach brings significant systemic challenges. First is the standardization as a guarantee, ensuring that every actor can operate with the same framework. That seems this importance of the mandates, as we talked with Daniel. And operate with the same framework has required with financial institutions to overhaul their internal processes, right? Creating tight, delivering time and complexity in the terms of the production cycles. So all this standardization also brings some hiccups, for say, although the system designed to be interoperable, the real world implementation faced some friction. Some of the solutions were in different stages. So basically, this is the stabilization process that we are facing now. How all of they are bringing to the same standard. But in terms of numbers, we are doing very good. As I shared, these 217 million transactions shows that the system is achieving the goal. Great. Following the next slide, please. Okay, so we are seeing a high dynamic landscape with Bre-B. Incumbent banks are actively competing to capture the user's primary alias, like a keys war, the most representative key they want to have it to protect their strategic market position, as also Nick states before. They are trying to keep as much of the market share that they have. Uh, it's natural, is also obvious somehow. So there are new opportunities at the same time. So simultaneously, we see how fintechs are leveraging the system to scale their business models by offering real-time settlement and innovating on a specific use case. Perhaps most importantly, the system is driving to financial inclusion by connecting unbanked segments who previously faced significant barriers to entry with the traditional products. And as Valentina mentioned it, this create some anxiety in terms of new regulations that will be having the market in terms of open finance, that also could be a nice tool for another use cases like recurring payments or cross-selling products in financial products terms. Okay. What is going next? What is the roadmap? If we can follow the next slide. So we are seeing
Quick
how the
question
government.
before
Yep.
we move on. Marcia has a good question. How many llaves are available for each customer, for each consumer on Bre-B?
Okay, that's a good one. As much as every customer wants, because the hash is open, so you can have as much as you can. The important thing is you can have different keys for one account, but just one account per key. This key is not for different accounts, just works with one account. But you can have, for instance, and me as an e-banker, I used to have different bank accounts to be one of the uh, testers in some of our solutions. I do have different keys for sure. My email registered in my bank will be limited for that one. And if I want to use this email to another one, I need to, you know, activate just in the other account. But the alias one, the hash, uh, every bank is creating new ones. So it's Sergio 1234. I can use in the other one Sergio 256 and so on. So yeah.
Great.
Great. And well, what is in the roadmap? So there are some government payments that government wants to be an important part on this. Uh, Taxes, public services, utilities, subsidy disbursements. So there are some use cases that that we are looking forward for the roadmap. Advanced e-commerce use cases, as I mentioned before, recurring and subscription payments, massive disbursements, payroll, high volume payouts, low cost alternatives to other solutions that we see nowadays in the ACH um, system. So basically, there's a lot of opportunities. And we will be following also some parts of the natural development of the product, like natural refunds that nowadays are not covered by the central bank. Um, all the claims fraud steps also will be on the roadmap. Not important to say, nowadays, all the liabilities on the bank using the mobile app is the responsible in terms of the double factor of authentication is who validates the end user, so they leverage all the liability. And this is well known and well used in the different other payment methods. So so far so good. But yeah, there's an interesting good roadmap and initiatives in the future.
Great. And Sergio, just curious from EBANX's perspective in terms of digital commerce, you guys are focused on helping global merchants expand into growth markets like Colombia. Can you tell us a little bit about, you mentioned, I think you showed us the verticals, gaming, and there were others, but how does this, connect to cross-border digital commerce?
Yeah, the opportunity it's pretty important. It's pretty good per se. And we can also see in the next slide how is the strategic opportunity. So what we are seeing from events. The key message is that the opportunity is clear. The cost of the inaction will be high in the terms of we saw with PIX. There are particular verticals that are open for this digital commerce, and cross-border commerce is pretty important in the sense of how to use localized solutions, localized payment methods. It's a key to give access to open and growth in terms of business. So the message is clear. The Colombian market is evolving fast and adopting these global standards. The account to account trend showed us there is everything to play for. But we must act now in the sense of this is brand new. Let's take an advantage of this opportunity. Just as we saw with Pix again. So let's deep dive in the ecosystem and size the opportunities. Giving Bre-B to the end user is a way that they are seeing day by day. Their banks create the keys, now join Bre-B. So it's a pretty trending topic nowadays in Colombia. So let's take this as an opportunity also to bring new users and give this access to the cross-border business.
There's a very strong statement on the slide. There is a clear path for A2A dominance, which is an exciting, potentially scary statement for some. So, that's a clear prediction, right? And predicting the pathway that Colombia is going to take.
Amazing.
Great, Sergio. Are we at your last slide? Do we have anything more?
I think this is it, but I'm open to questions if you
Yes,
want.
Yeah, maybe we could go to Juan Camilo's question. I think there was some discussion in the chat, but he's asking, have you seen any cannibalization of closed loop networks like DaviPlata and Nequi? Given the fact that like the phone number is used as the ID. So in a closed loop environment, foreseeably you don't need Bre-B, but perhaps the use of Chaves might start to cannibalize that. I don't know what you guys are seeing so far.
What we are seeing so far is that a closed loop is always the very first choice, for say. The thing is how these closed loops will be giving even more use cases, and how this will be standardized in the terms of as much as the market gives to the possibilities in terms of payments, of standardization, timing, operational, there will be a way to increase also the value service for the closed loops. So what I'm saying is, if we see that Bre-B creates a solution for request to pay, how these closed loops can also adapt and create and increase the user experience for this. So what we are seeing is that everyone is excited in terms of the use cases that we can create. Closed loop behaves in terms of approval rates pretty good. And And yeah, at the end is the ecosystem with the use of DaviPlata, of Neki, of all the incumbents, what brings even Bre-B a most big chunk of the market share of the opportunity. So basically, what we are seeing is that maybe not within a closed loop, but maybe we are going to see some cannibalization also with PSE, maybe as we saw with PIX in the past. Bank transfers, open systems will be migrating to this instant payments system.
Got it.
Can I ask a question? And this is one I asked repeatedly over the years. Is there any involvement in this to do with purchase guarantees and dispute resolution for remote purchases, especially?
Nowadays, this is under definition. This is a part of the system that is evaluating according to the behavior that we are seeing nowadays with the payments, with the transactions. For sure, there are some discussions, but it's not all the as I mentioned before, all the liability nowadays regarding the transactions are on the banks. But yeah, so kind of early to share a particular idea of ETAs or something like that. But the numbers nowadays are behaving healthy. So we are expecting the next step from the central bank in terms of, okay, which will be the regulation or the flow to achieve this kind of situations. We know from PIX that they took a couple of years to think about it. So we are following exactly the same way how the central bank centralized information and brings some of these possibilities of guarantees and so on.
Well, it's like the one main example out there where it's something that does work is for credit cards, and that was enforced on the banks through, well, federal regulations originally, but also the card networks required it of the banks to do something, and they forced the same structure on everybody, and so that meant everybody was playing the same game. All the banks had to follow the same rules. It has to come from the centralized authority. I actually wrote an article earlier this year about dispute resolution from first principles of how to take the card, the credit card idea and say, let's say you're starting from scratch, how would you proceed with that? It's not something you can easily add later. It has to be something you look at very early on in the game if you're using payments for purchases. So I was wondering if that's,
fair. Yeah, fair. But again, it's on the desk right now, but we don't have ETAs from the central bank. But I totally got your point, and I agree. This is not a matter, a simple thing, right? It's not a simple detail. It's a pretty important part of the chain to give also a sense of all the full process, dispute process to the end user to increase also their experience.
Well, I'm happy to get involved if you're interested. I built half of the card networks that we all use. So
thank you, Nick. No, totally. I'm glad to share to receive your experience. We can also share some information with the system. We are part of the committee, as I mentioned before. So yeah, that could be a good one. Thank you for that, Nick.
Well, I have a question, if I may.
Our last one.
So as it relates to financial inclusion, I think one of the main goals of the Central Bank of the Republic is to increase the level of financial inclusion and address some of the informal cash-based activity that happens on the streets of Colombia, which is commonplace all over Latin America. Have they already observed a trend in terms of change And do you think that goal will be easily accomplished, or do you think people who are on the fringes of the economy continue to be cash based? And I cannot help but have a cup of my Colombian Starbucks cup in front of this audience.
Good one. Great. And thank you for that, Daniel. I think this is a job to be done on a daily basis. This is not a one effort or one shot thing. Bre-B is a tool to achieve, but it depends from the different actors to achieving day by day. For instance, if we see how increased the end users base from Neki before pandemic scenarios, starting from 5 to 6 million users, now we are speaking about 27 million end users. It's a way to see, okay, if we create a solid system, the end user will feel that can also use their account in a different ways that can leverage the goal. But for sure, it's an effort that depends from another discussions that also Valentina brings to the desk, like open data, open finance, to think first on the end user, bringing the best solutions in terms of what they need. How can they pay even better, faster, simpler, rather than thinking in isolated solutions, thinking as a system. I think that could help for sure in this goal. There are some educationals or things in terms of financial literacy that also we need to improve to bring some myth from the end user. But yeah, I think this is an effort that we need, and I'm feeling, and thank you for bringing the coffee also as a Colombian, because it's the sense of we as Colombians also need to work harder on this.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great presentation, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you, Sergio, for the presentation. Thank you, EBANX, for all the partnership. And thank you all for being with us throughout the entire year. We'll see you next time next year. And just one quick note before we go. We'll be sending out some quick surveys at the beginning of the year. So keep an eye on your inbox and please take some time to respond. That would be really important for us to collect some feedbacks and how can we improve our future sessions. All right. So happy holidays, everyone. Thank you so much.
Everyone.
See you next year.
Next year.
Thank
See
you.
next
Happy
year.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Happy.
Thanks, everyone.